All right, guys, update video on this D16 engine, Volvo 2008. So we're changing out these injector retainers. I think that's the terminology for them. They look like this. I think these are actually like an updated piece, if I'm not mistaken. But anyhow, you can see that one of the feet on it has broken off, right? We were talking about that in the last video. There's the part number, 21425-165. And like I say, I think that's an updated part. It's got some extra bridging and stuff on it. But basically to change this, it's not too bad. You just have to really watch what you're doing. All the, there's all your rocker arms here, okay? And then you've got also arms that run your injectors, because your injectors are mechanical and electronic. And inside of the this rocker arm here, you can see this bucket that's part of the lash adjustment right here, this threaded rod that goes through. But those buckets all need to stay in groups with their rocker arms. They're all machine fit. The tolerances are all specific, so you can't switch them around. This whole shaft, this rocker arm shaft that houses all of these arms, you can see that's what all the arms pivot on. It needs to come out. Now, the cam shaft is on the other side, and the cam, obviously with all the lobes, runs all these arms. So the cam can stay, but we need to remove this shaft. So basically what you gotta do, for those of you that want to do this yourself, whether you're changing injectors or whatever, remove valve cover, unplug all of the injector harness, and then your Jake brake control valve. It sits right here, and there's two bolts that you take out and unplug it, and that piece just comes out. There's an O-ring that slips into the center of this shaft, and then you have to put the engine on TDC, top dead center. So you'll notice on the camshaft itself, on the very end, there's a cap that holds the cam down. There's a bunch of them, but the one at the very end has two lines sitting on top. And on the end of the cam, it'll say TDC, and then there'll be 6 marks along that camshaft that indicates all the 6 cylinders. And so you set it to TDC, and then you go ahead and loosen off all your lash adjusters here. So you just crack the nut loose, and then it's a 5mm hex key, or Allen key if you want to call it. You unscrew all of those, and that just takes all the tension off of all your valve springs and your injectors, except for a couple of them, but most of them. And then in a sequence, which I'll show you in a second here, you'll start to back off all of the bolts that hold this big shaft down. And once you get all the bolts loosened off after you do the sequence, it will work itself up. And the reason they want you to remove that in a sequence is so that you don't bend or fracture the shaft or break any of the rocker arms like that. You don't want to stress it out. So that's basically where I'm at right now. I've got everything loosened off. This thing's just hanging out here. And there is a special service tool that's supposed to go across the top of this shaft, and it clamps down. I don't know exactly where it bites down onto or how it does it. But it secures this whole shaft so that you can lift it out, because it's very heavy. You can lift it up yourself. I want to say it's got to be at least 200 or 300 pounds. And I'm just going to use some ratchet straps and sneak them underneath. I was able to lift this up just enough to sneak this ratchet strap under, and then I'm going to rig it up. I've got an engine leveler here, so that when I do start to lift it, I can make sure that this thing comes up perfectly level. And also for reinstallation, you can see the engine isn't completely flat, right? It's down a little bit towards the back, and it's also tilted this way. So no problem, we'll get this thing out. But there's a couple things that I got to do before I go ahead and pull it. Once I get this on, the next step is to secure these buckets that are in here so they don't fall out. The service manual does say to use elastic bands. I don't have any of those, so I'll probably just end up wiping the oil off them and using some tape. And then the other thing that you want to do is, once this thing starts to come up, you're finally pulling it out, put some bolts in the end of this, because all of these rocker arm assemblies just slide on. And if for whatever reason this whole shaft were to do one of those, all of these arms, I guess the ratchet strap sort of prevents the center ones from falling off, but these could all slide off the end, and we don't want that to happen. So just be cautious when you're removing the bolts and stuff at the end. There is of course where all your gears are at the very end for your drive assembly and all that stuff. It's all open, right? So if you were to drop any bolts down there and they land in between the gears where the gears are meshed, you know, that'd be game over if you go to start the truck and it rams a bolt in between those gears. So just really pay attention and watch what you're doing. You could stick some rags down there or tape it off if you want, just as an extra precaution. There's a couple other pieces that you need to remove as well before you take those bolts out of that shaft to loosen the shaft off. I forgot to mention. They're little weird hook-shaped things. I'm not exactly sure. There's something to do with the this extra fourth arm for the Jake brake. That's what this arm is for. They have a specific name for it. Let's go look at the sheet here. And this is what I'm talking about, these things here. You gotta loosen those off. They're a 6 mil Allen or Torx head. Here's the torque slash detorque sequence for all those shaft bolts here. And when you go to tighten it, they also give you all the camshaft cap bolts as well. But when you go to tighten these things down, there's a whole sequence that you got to go through. Looks like it's going to be a real pain. But that extra arm, they call it a power leash rocker arm, and that's for the Jake brake. I don't know 100% how it works, but it's something to do with either holding the valves closed. I'm pretty sure it's holding the valves closed, but anyhow, or partially closed anyways. Same thing, same picture. So I think that's about all the updating I have to do right now. I'm just about to go pull this thing out, and yeah, once we get it out, then all you have to do is take the bolts out of these, and I'm gonna go ahead and change all 6 of them. It's odd that one fractured. I don't know why it fractured. And this engine's been apart a couple times, but I think it's possible that whoever put it in last didn't torque them down properly, tighten them down too much. Something was wrong. I know at one point in time it got taken apart and they didn't follow the detorque sequence at all, and one of the rocker arms was bent. So yeah, bad things happen if you don't pay attention and follow the manual sometimes. I'm not saying to always follow the manual, but for stuff like that, I would say it's probably a good idea to follow it. I think that's basically it. If you got any questions, throw them down in the comments below. If you got a D16 engine, I want to know issues that you've had and so on and so forth. The whole reason that we're doing this is for a fuel concern. It had low fuel pressure, but we found this issue along the way. So give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Follow for more videos. We're going to be bringing out some more videos on this truck. So we'll catch you in the next one.